I give everybody the equal chance to show me who they are. And by doing that, I keep my virtue. I keep who I am as a person because I am always in my frame. I want to start a discussion about something. It's something that I've been trying to triangulate. I don't even know how to say that word. For a while, at least maybe since college, maybe after college. But it's very particular human experience, like not experience, but behavior. It's it's how certain people text. Certain people text with such a broad, non-emotional appeal. It's like a really non-expansive text, like super broad, super dry. It just shows the absence of thought and a real person is there. You know what I mean? When I text, or even when maybe there's just it's a texting way now. I've been detached, so maybe that's just how people text. And when people get in person or on FaceTime, they're more open. I really have no clue what it is. Is it a trend? Is it a way of texting? Or is it demonic? And when I say demonic, the person is not forthcoming. It's like they're hiding. And I'll give you an example. You'll be texting somebody and all the responses are short. And not just okay type of short, but short in the sense of there's no context and you're not really talking to a person. You know what I mean? And it's not like I'm sitting here talking down about a person. Well, I mean, you can take it however you want, but it's just I don't know, when I text, it's thoughtful. I sit there and I'll write my thoughts. And it's not like a paragraph. It's very I try to shorten it to where it's like a punchline, but it's still a cohesive thought where there's a full sentence structure. You know what I mean? And I'm not just talking about, me getting abbreviated text back or slang. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about through text, there's no, and I can be talking to the wrong people, but some people on text, there's nobody there. And I don't know if that's me, they're trying to interact with me to where it's blank and they don't, understand me to where they don't feel comfortable opening up. That's a possibility. But if I'm the one who's open texting, I don't see how that, could fall through. You know what I mean? I don't see how that could be. So it's just more on the example, I really try to have conversations. And I have theories because I've been in and out of the workforce. And I've also been an athlete where it's the workload is astronomical. So it's I've been to points where I'm texting and I don't want to text. You know what I mean? And I just leave out a lot of info, or leave out, I'll just say something, get the conversation over. Or there's even times where I'm that's when I used to drink energy drinks, where I would get serious brain fog. And when I get brain fog, I wasn't able to commute my emotions, or I wasn't able to really formulate good thoughts to put down. And that's kind of what I see. Maybe it's brain fog, or they just don't want to text. But it's just it's odd because I'm starting to see a different pattern with it, and I don't know if it's me that's giving off a vibe to somebody where they don't want to interact or they're scared to interact. When people talk to me, it's like I'm talking to people with brain fog. Like it's either they don't want to really have a conversation with me or something's going on with them emotionally to where like they're not opening up. And I don't know if it's because of the person, I've took a stance to be or what. I don't really know. And I'll give an example. I'll try to leave names out. Like, I'll try to give two examples real quick. One is like I've had colleagues where when they text me, it's extremely dry. It's even to the point where it's like there seems like they're struggling to put a full sentence or even full words. You know what I mean? Like everything is abbreviated down to where it's like the conversation is short. Like they don't want to talk to me. You know. But at the same time, I'll be around these people and I see them talk about their interactions with other people, and I've seen them talk about group texts that they're in. I've even accidentally been added to group texts where the conversation is extremely elevated. It's just odd. Like basically, I get people who are dry and standoffish towards me, but when I watch them in other environments and around other people and even in other situations, they're much more lively. Just I don't understand the motive behind it. Is my energy repelling? Or is it something deeper that's going on spiritually? I would try to only admit positivity. But I do have a dark side, and I very consciously don't expose or try to use the dark side because it's destructive. Um, it's hard for me to find people that I can have deep conversations with. And I think it's that. If I'm being honest, like I've raised my consciousness and I know personally like a lot of conversations and things like they don't give me a high like other people. So I feel like that might be the disconnect. Just like what I think about and what I do, it doesn't really, coincide with how people live. I don't want to talk about it without really knowing and talking to anybody else, but it's just like from what I see, I get isolated. And I know I'm different, but the way I get isolated is just like I'm not a human. You know what I mean? And even like I'm crazy. That's what it feels like, but it's pretty evident that I'm not. Like if I haven't done anything to you, why are you acting weird? Why aren't you open and forthcoming? Not you don't even got to be forthcoming, but I'm not getting a full person when I've never met you, or we never really have had a high level conversation, or even like came to terms that we're both humans in this experience. So I don't get the like standoffishness, you know what I mean? Like leading with a wall, because we don't know what our relationship can foster, whether that's now or in the future. So it's just it does a disservice to both of us to even be talking and not sharing our human. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point of us interacting on a surface level or not even that? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's just damaging. And if you don't care about the other person, that's fine, but it's damaging to yourself as well because there's no expansive nature to it. You know what I mean? Like, if we're talking about forms of energy, like, why are you perpetuating that energy? Why are you grabbing onto that energy? Like, if the purpose of life is to be, if you really care about yourself and what you're doing in life, I think these interactions are important to foster good health and good mental health, because we are humans and we're all interconnected. We all share a lot of the same experience, just in different forms. You know what I mean? Like, energy is not created or destroyed. So there's energies all energy in the world is here and is existing. So there is no energy that you're experiencing that is totally new in this plane. So it's just like, for someone to walk around as if they're, with blockages and not being able to, share human experience with a human, like, it's kind of walking around as a martyr. You know what I mean? Like, it's not using the self or the body. It's not using the mind. It's just stagnant. And when the human body gets stagnant, in my opinion, it what's the word? It retrogrades. It deteriorates. It um, declines. The human body will decline. It will age. That's a real fact. So I just feel like a form of reverse aging is nourishing the interconnection between us, reality, and the environment. And part of that is a healthy communication with another human. I know there's bad people in the world, and I know that's something that to be hyper vigilant about. But if somebody hasn't given you a reason, like, in your own personal experience with that person, to hate them or to stand off from them and really, like, you know, disown them, or just, like, not want to associate with that person, it's just, why would you do that? Why would you try to push somebody away that you have really hadn't had a bad experience with? Or, you know what I mean? Like, if you're just going off a feeling or what somebody else said to not like that person, like, what that shows, like, you don't have any control over your mind and your experience. You're just it just shows that you're a pawn. And if we're really getting into, that's like NPC behavior. Like, it's like you're acting without your own mind. And it's just, what why? Is that hive mindset? I bet you somebody with hive mindset doesn't even know what hive mindset is. Excuse me. I would never do that. I give everybody the fair assessment to, like, when I meet them, I give everybody the fair assessment to show me who you are. I'm gonna be who I am regardless. Like, I'm always gonna try to be positive and uplift you. But if you cross me, you're gonna meet a different side. But I'm never, like, going up to somebody, like, it's not that, like, it's not that serious. Like, we're not in the field. You know what I'm saying? We're not toting. So there's no reason to be super hyper vigilant when meeting somebody, when getting to know somebody, or, like, interacting in a relationship. Of course, you're gonna have, barriers, your own barriers from past relationship, but I don't think it's ever that serious. And I say that because the most serious thing that we can face in this reality is death, and death of the mind. And those are serious threats, but they're threats. if nobody's showing you a threatening action or acting in a way that is threatening, there's no reason to be hyper vigilant. You know what I mean? Like, that's what fight or flight is. Fight or flight is a human experience to where in a it's like, it's not an experience, it's a human like adaptation to where if there's danger or something threatening, you have that fight or flight to get you out of it. You know, that's your body's reaction. So there's already a built-in cover. So there's no real need to be hyper vigilant mentally when meeting somebody or just talking and, getting to know somebody. And I feel like that hyper vigilance is something that needs to be, you know, worked through. And I can sit here and tell you, like, I try to work through it myself. Like, I have anxiety from different things that I've been through, and I think I might have even been born, into an anxiety-filled situation, you know. But what I'm trying to say is, like, I don't go around as a martyr. I don't go around thinking, like, he can be the next one. I need to watch out. Like, he smells weird. Nah, bro. Like, I give everybody the equal chance to show me who they are. And by doing that, I keep my virtue. I keep who I am as a person because I am always in my frame. You know what I mean? I'm always going to be who I am. I have different adaptations to fight. I have different flight or flight adaptations to get me out of situations and to veer from an energy I don't like. But I'm never moving around showing those spikes. You know what I mean? And that kind of, in my opinion, that brings in people. It's inviting. I'm inviting always. My energy is open, but it's not penetrable. If that makes sense. And that's what I'm getting at. Like, I feel like when I'm texting people, they're closed off. And that could be because of me. I'm quiet, and I'm not forthcoming with my emotions. And I could see how somebody looking at that could be like, oh man, like, who is this? But that's not how I'm leading. I'm trying to, go deeper and deeper on this topic. I do have things I don't want people to get at. And I will shoot a wall up if I feel like somebody's trying to get into my fortress, my internal fortress. But I'm never like, when I meet somebody or when I'm hanging out, I'm never just like, I'm not going to react until they react. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be forthcoming until they're forthcoming. I don't see the purpose in that. And the reason why I don't see the purpose in that, because there's no growth, and it kind of dampens your self-identity. Because if you're going up to somebody and you're not being yourself, that action is, you're not being yourself. And if you're not being yourself at all times, like, you're subject to hijack somebody else's reality, or somebody gonna come and hijack yours. And that's the dangers of not having self-identity. And that's kind of like, if you even think about it, that's the dangers of modern workforce. I'm not gonna go into that. That's a different story, but it's just like, people are walking around scared, essentially. And I don't want to say scared in a derogatory term, because danger is real in this society. And I understand why people are hyper vigilant. But, and I also could think it could be a lack of real faith and, alignment inside. But that's a different story as well. But I just want to make it clear, and I want to drive it down, that mentally, if you're leading if you're leading your life in a way of hyper vigilant and like whoever I meet, I need to have walls up. Of course, there's instances you don't want to put yourself in. And that's smart, but you can't do that your whole life. There's gonna be instances where you're gonna have to go blind. You know, and I think it's important to be open, to have an open sense of energy, because you don't know who you're gonna meet. You don't know who might need your help. You don't know who you might not want to interact with. It's that openness of your energy to allow the body to work, to allow the human experience to really develop. Because when you're open, you are in control. And I'm going to say that one more time. Like, when you have an open sense of energy and invitefulness, you're in control, because now you're not gripping to one side of the duality. Now you're in kind of like in the middle of the duality. You're just having open energy, to where anything, you're allowing stuff to come through. And when you're allowing stuff to come through, you're also allowed to push it away. But if you're not even allowing the energies to come through, it's dampening your human experience, because the body is already wired with a fight or flight. And if your fight or flight doesn't work, well, then you just need to go fix it. You know what I mean? Like, people are so in front of the body, and you're stopping yourself. You're not only you're stopping yourself mentally. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's healthy to not invite energies because you're hyper vigilant, right? It's that cut and dry. Like, we say it all the time, like, keep your heart open so you can find love. I think that applies to everything. I think that applies to every emotional breaker. You know what I mean? You got to be open and receptive to allow things to come in. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna harp over it one more time. Like, when you have an open sense of energy, you allow different energies to come in, and you can consciously choose which ones you don't want. Which ones are real, which ones are fake. This is kind of what meditation is. And I just think it's so important, because a lot of people are just like walking around like, oh man, like, who is that? Like, what he got going? Like, I don't know, like, that doesn't look good. It's just like, figure it out for yourself. Don't be a bystander watching, don't be a bystander of reality. Don't be a bystander of life and, the human experience, for real. Like, of course, this doesn't apply to everybody. So if it doesn't, keep walking. But I've been able to, really grasp the human experience so far, because I've been open to different energies and possibilities and realities. There is some things that in the 3D that I have grabbed that are, now bad for me, that I've maybe came dependent on, and have even hurt me. But there's also a lot of energy that I have grasped onto, I've been able to welcome into my energy field, that have blessed me immensely. I've met people that I never thought I would meet, because I can overlook certain things. I could decide, I could welcome somebody in and decide whether or not, it's for me. And that's because I've separated myself. I've separated my ego, from the attachment to hypervigilance. Not to say that I'm not hypervigilant and have an immense amount of anxiety, But because I don't grab onto that, I'm able to look at it. You know what I mean? I'm able to look at anxiety and say, when it comes towards me, that's anxiety. I'm able to turn the other cheek because my mind is not locked on to anxiety. I've allowed my body to have the experience of anxiety. And there's nothing really I could do about that because, I've been in situations that I had no control over that have hurt me. But that's okay. Like, that's life. What's not okay is if I were to, for the rest of my life, grip onto that. I'm anxious. I'm socially awkward. You know, that's defeating. Because you wallow in it. You wallow in that. But if I'm looking at it like, okay, I'm anxious, I'm this, I'm that, and then I don't let that become my identity, I'm a stronger person. I'm able to work through it. And I don't know how I got on this topic, but we started here because I was saying that I text certain people and I don't get the full person. And it's evident. Unless the person, there's only two other things. The person doesn't know how to text. They're not a good texter. Or they could just not like me. They just don't have character. They don't have substance, which is okay. And that doesn't deter me from not texting the person. Like, I'm always going to be who I am. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're always who you are and you allow yourself to grow, you know what I mean, and evolve, it doesn't matter what things come towards you, because when you locked onto yourself and you know what you want, believe, you're able just to push it away. But not developing that sense of self, that's how you get locked into certain emotions. And I think it's important to say it one more time, like, the body's equipped to handle a lot of different emotions. It's equipped to keep you moving. You know what I mean? Like, you have to nourish it, of course. But the body's an amazing creation. The way it harnesses our energy, and it allows us to move within the 3D, and mentally also to move through the spiritual. It's amazing. But you have to get out of the way of the body so it can really holster a human experience. I want to keep going on this, but I feel like this might be a good point to stop. So I'm sure I'll go over it again. Let's really have this conversation, y'all. Like, let's really do it. So, love you guys. Peace. These are just conversations. I am not a perfect human. I'm growing every day in God and in faith. So let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it and let's grow. I love y'all, man. Peace. I think it's important to know that this is a working process. And this is something that I didn't just wake up and start doing this. Like, I've worked on this consciously for a while. You know what I mean? And I've been through certain adversities that have forced me to develop self. I consciously sit and develop self. So I'm not sitting here from a high horse or saying like, you people. No, it's just like, I'm saying this because I've been there and I go through it every day, like, just like every other human. I'm not coming from a place of I'm better. It's just a place of it could be achieved.